The year was 1721. Deep within the untamed mountains of colonial America, where no roads existed and no human voices echoed through the endless wilderness, lived a beautiful 20-year-old African-American woman named Amara. Her smile carried hope. Her eyes carried dreams. But fate had already written a different ending. Or so everyone believed. One cold autumn morning, Amara left a small settlement carrying a basket of herbs. She had traveled this mountain path dozens of times before. She never imagined it would become the place where she would fight death itself. The wind suddenly grew stronger. Dry rocks shifted beneath her feet. A single scream shattered the silence. Then, nothing. Amara plunged hundreds of feet into a narrow rocky ravine. Her body slammed against trees, then sharp stones. Until everything went dark. Hours later, she opened her eyes. Blood covered her forehead. One arm was badly broken. Her ankle twisted unnaturally. Every breath felt like knives piercing her chest. Above her, only a tiny strip of blue sky. The cliffs surrounding her were almost impossible to climb. She screamed for help. Again, and again. Only her own echo answered back. No one heard. No one was coming. Day 1. Pain ruled everything. She crawled only a few feet before collapsing. She found a tiny stream trickling between the rocks. That water became the only reason she stayed alive. She ate wild leaves she barely recognized. She prayed through tears. As darkness covered the canyon, strange growls echoed through the valley. Predators watched from the shadows. Amara didn't sleep. She simply waited for sunrise, wondering if it would be her last. Day 2. Her broken arm had swollen terribly. Fever began spreading through her body. She tore pieces from her dress to wrap her wounds. Each movement was torture. She looked up toward the cliffs. Impossible. Yet she whispered, "I will not die here." She began climbing. One hand, one foot, one rock at a time. After nearly an hour, the loose stones collapsed. She fell once again. Her body hit the canyon floor. She cried louder than ever before. Not because of pain, but because hope itself seemed to be slipping away. Day 3. Rain arrived. The freezing storm soaked every piece of clothing she had. She shivered uncontrollably. Lightning illuminated the canyon walls. She collected rainwater in broken pieces of bark. It was enough to survive. But hunger had become unbearable. Her stomach cramped violently. She imagined warm bread, fresh fruit, her mother's gentle voice calling her home. Then she remembered. Her mother had died years earlier. She was completely alone. Day 4. Something changed. Instead of fearing death, she began speaking to it. "If you want me, come and take me." Silence answered. She closed her eyes. For several minutes, her heartbeat slowed. She truly believed she was dying. Then, a small bird landed beside her. It chirped softly. For some strange reason, she smiled. That tiny creature reminded her. Life still existed. Hope still existed. She stood once more. Day 5. Her injuries had become infected. She could barely walk. She leaned against branches as crutches. Every step left drops of blood behind. She found wild berries. She didn't know whether they were poisonous. But starvation left no choice. She whispered one final prayer before eating them. Hours passed. She remained alive. The berries saved her. Day 6. The canyon narrowed. She discovered a steep slope hidden behind thick bushes. It wasn't a path, but it offered a chance. She climbed until sunset. Every muscle screamed. Her hands bled. Her broken fingernails scraped against stone. Halfway up, she slipped. For one terrifying second, she thought everything was over. Miraculously, a tree root stopped her fall. She hugged it, and cried like a child. Day 7. The sunrise painted the mountains gold. Amara could barely breathe. Her lips were cracked. Her vision blurred. She knew she had almost nothing left. Still, she started climbing again. One painful step, then another. Hours passed. Finally, she reached the top. She collapsed onto the grass. Fresh air filled her lungs. For the first time in 7 days, she looked at the open sky without stone walls surrounding her. She laughed, then cried, then laughed again. But destiny had one final test. The nearest settlement was still miles away. She staggered through the forest. Every few minutes she collapsed. The sun slowly disappeared beyond the mountains. Night approached. Her heartbeat weakened. She estimated she had less than an hour left. Then, she saw smoke. A distant cabin. She tried shouting. Nothing came out. Only whispers. She kept walking. Step. After step. After step. Finally, an elderly hunter noticed movement near the trees. He rushed toward her. Amara collapsed into his arms. She had no strength left. The hunter later said something unforgettable. She wasn't walking anymore. Hope was carrying her. When they finally reached shelter, the village healer examined her. He quietly looked at everyone in the room, then said, she had less than 50 minutes to live. Only 50 minutes. Had she stopped, even once, she never would have survived. Weeks later, Amara recovered. The scars remained forever. So did the memories. People often asked her, what was the hardest part? They expected her to mention hunger, pain, or loneliness. Instead she answered, the hardest battle wasn't against the mountain. It wasn't against the cold. It wasn't even against death. It was against the voice inside me. The voice that kept saying, give up. Years later, travelers passing through those mountains heard the incredible story of the young woman who escaped the ravine after 7 impossible days. Some called it luck, others called it a miracle. But Amara simply called it a decision. The decision to keep taking one more step, even when death was already waiting. Because sometimes, the distance between life and death is only one final step.